Ladies and gentlemen, Kevin Trudeau, joining us from Germany, has agreed to do 20 more minutes with us into the next hour. He said he'd do even more, but I don't want to twist his arm. And just to find out, he really does know the show. He really does listen. Kevin Trudeau, how often do you listen to this radio show, and how long?
Well, I listen to it. I travel all over the world, so that with the different time zones. But it's pretty easy. It's pretty easy for me. I just go online and click Infowars.com. I'm also a member of PrisonPlanet.tv, so I can see your good-looking mug there with your HD. You know,
you are something else. Now, I haven't read all your books, but I remember listeners sent me a mailing you did about one of your books about how you got recruited into the Brotherhood, didn't know it was a sellout at first, but got out of it. So you're somebody that was in the group, out of the group. And people don't believe this, but I mean, you're a guy that makes billions a year. They better. I have been approached by these groups too, and then people just can't believe it because they're living in la-la land. We're living in the real world, Kevin. But
yeah, it's hard for the average person to grasp this, and here's what I think it's hard to everyone listening. It's hard for you to grasp this. When the number one motivator of the average person is money. Now, some people say it's sex. That's true, but it's generally money. So money is the number one motivator. If you look in prisons today, 90% of the people in jail are there because of a money-related crime. They were trying to sell drugs, they robbed a bank, they mugged somebody, bank fraud, wire fraud. It's all about wanting money illegally. That's why people are in jail. It's the number one motivator, money, okay? Most people grasp that. But when you talk about the elite class and you say they want control, they want this, the general consensus from the average guy in the street is, that doesn't make any sense to me. They have all the money in the world. Why would they do this? And this is what nobody can understand, because you don't have all the money in the world. When you have all the money you need or want, the motivation then is power.
Well, power brings money. Power brings sex. It brings it all.
Right, but power supersedes the motivation for money. It's power and control, which is why somebody who becomes incredibly wealthy gets what they want to do next. I want to get into politics. They want to start controlling things. So it's about control, and there's another thing that happens at the top level, and that's weird sexual deviations. Because people need some type of stimulation. And again, I physically have been around groups, and I've seen things. That you had the amazing experience of going to Bohemian Grove. I saw your video. So, I mean, you were there, right?
Absolutely. And that's what's strange is that, go back to the Romans or the Aztecs, they're always a bunch of wild perverts.
Correct. So you were physically there. You had an experience that nobody could really grasp. You saw it with your own eyes, and I watched that DVD that you did, that documentary. It was extremely well done, and it gave, just an insight that people maybe have a hard time grasping. And
I was only in there for 4 hours and hiding out. The Vanity Fair guy got in and got arrested, but not before he admitted, oh yeah, the Christian conservatives are having homosexual orgies, but he says, oh, it's no big deal. The point is every time somebody claims they're a conservative, it's actually the opposite. I don't know. It's just so bizarre how weird these people are.
Well, it's very strange, and I think that people listening need to know, I think from an economic standpoint, we have this huge tsunami coming. It's a huge hurricane. It is going to hit. People are going to be affected. Forget what you listen to on the news. It's going to get economically worse. Taxes are going up. Your income is going down. Fees are going up. There will be inflation to some degree. There will be inflation.
What about revolution when we come back? I mean, people are going to rebel as they raise taxes. Like, my property tax has gone up and my house value has gone down. We're going to come back in 70 seconds for 20 more minutes with Mr. Trudeau. The website is naturalcures.com. What's the site to get the financial books?
That's at globalinformationnetwork.com.
Globalinformationnetwork.com. With our source inside the Bilderberg Group. He's Kevin Trudeau. I tell you, truth is stranger than fiction, folks. All right, Kevin Trudeau, naturalcures.com. Gateway site to all his other great sites. Billions and millions of dollars a year in sales of books and other materials. This is one of the biggest best-selling authors out there. And I've read several of his books, read news articles he's done, bought his super memory thing decades ago, and it's all just stuff that's so well documented. I mean, take his Natural Cures book. that they don't want you to know about. This is all mainline stuff that's backed up all these scientific studies that they've known for hundreds of years, that it helps you. And then they're coming after him for that. Folks, this is serious if they're able to shut him down. What an amazing interview. Okay, we got 20 minutes left with Kevin Trudeau. We're going to open the phones up, take a few calls in the next segment at 1-800-259-9231, 1-800-259-9231. We just got a call from Trudeau's folks saying, can they use this interview? Absolutely. They can take the video of this interview, the audio of it, use it however they want. Again, flattered. Okay, Kevin, I've been asking a lot of the questions, and there's so many other questions I've got, but in this short segment, we got one more coming up. Anything else you haven't covered that people should know about or that's coming over the horizon that people aren't aware of yet with all your inside knowledge? And what are you most focused on right now in the future?
Well, for 15 years, Bilderberg, again, Bilderberg is just one group. It's North America and Europe, and there's others, about 4 others around the globe that also work together. And they are working together as a group. The bottom line is there's 6 major areas of control that this group has been focused on for forever. Number one is the money supply. So in 1913, when the Fed was created, they got the money supply covered in the U.S. So the number one goal is always to control the money. Number two is you got to control the media, because if you control television, radio, newspapers, magazines, then you control the thoughts and feelings of the population. The third thing they got to do is control drugs and health care, because everyone is going to either get sick or feel the urgency for their health. So if they control drugs and health care, that's an automatic way to control the population by forcing injections. It's like this kid, 13-year-old kid, where the judge says, you must get chemotherapy. I mean, how insane is this? Strap the kid down and kill him?
So that makes government God. I mean, if they can make you take drugs, make you go to them, get the health care they want to give you, that's how they force the eugenics on people.
Yeah, and keep in mind, the drugs are specifically used to basically mind down the individual population. This has been done throughout the centuries. We forget in China. When the British were in control of China, what did they do to the population? Let's get them all on opium. So they got the British got the entire Chinese population drugged up on opium so that they didn't have any problems with the population. They would just go out there and do their work and stay high on opium all day. So same thing here.
What are the elites afraid of? I asked you that question and forgot to ask it again. What are they most afraid of?
They're afraid. It's so simple, because people always ask me, what should I do? And this is what they're afraid of. They're afraid that people will get out of debt, because if you completely pay off your credit cards, pay down your mortgage, buy a used car for cash instead of owing money from the bank, if a person gets out of debt, they can't control you that much. And secondly, if you change where you spend your money, if you stop buying, my book was the biggest seller that Walmart ever had. Walmart never sold organic food. So when Natural Cures became the biggest seller they ever had, the executives called me up and said, we are forced to sell organic food in our stores because of your damn book. And so that's what it comes down to.
But they're greedy and can't help it and still sell your book.
Correct. That's the beautiful thing. Greed supersedes everything, even their most important wishes and desires.
Well, that's just like big Hollywood production company with big banking funding making a Bilderberg Group movie. They like being known as the supermen of the world. I want to hear about those other 4 groups when we get back. Final segment with Kevin Trudeau, ladies and gentlemen. What an incredible interview. And we're going to be having him back up on the show. We appreciate his time.